Hello, and welcome to Jack of All Things Disney, a podcast created to satisfy your Disney craving. I'm your host, Jill Sutton, and thank you so much for joining today. On today's episode, we have a returning guest, Miss Caroline McGinnis. She is sharing everything about her most recent Disney cruise on the Wish. So it is a trip report. She's going to kind of go day by day and detail out some of the things that they did, some of the things they didn't do, some of the things they liked, some of the things they didn't like so much. So if you are into trip reports, this is the first one that I've ever done. So I hope you guys enjoy. Well, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back.
I am so excited because you just got back from a Disney cruise and I'm about to go on a Disney cruise. So of course, I am like filled with questions and I think you've got all the knowledge now.
I hope I can answer them. It was so much fun. We had a great time.
So let's start off with just getting some of the basic details of the cruise. Who was in your travel party?
Sure. So it was my husband, my daughter who is 6, and my son who's 3.
Okay. So that's like almost exactly what we're going to do. It's going to be my husband and I, my 5-year-old who's almost 6, and my newly 3-year-old. Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you guys decide on the dates of this cruise or the cruise itinerary?
So it had changed. Originally, we were booked for January of 2024. And we knew we wanted to go on the Wish. This will be, my daughter went on a cruise when she was 1, but this is really like the first cruise that the kids have been on. So I didn't want to do 7 days and then find out on day 3 that they're miserable.
Right.
So we did
right.
the 4, and 3 nights felt really short. So we did the 4 nights. That seemed like the perfect test cruise. But then we were looking at dates and school schedules and realized that August was actually going to work better for us. So we moved from January to August. And again, just picked what worked with our schedules. We did the Wish cruises. The 4 nights are Monday through Friday. So that was kind of already decided for us. And I went with that. And it was perfect. The weather was perfect. We knew that, hurricanes are always a risk. But we luckily did not run into that. That happened like literally the week after we got home. So we lucked out. But that's kind of how we ended up on that 4-night cruise.
Okay. And then what were the dates of it again? It was August.
We were August 21st to the 25th.
Okay. And then out of what port?
We left from Port Canaveral.
Okay. So then tell me the details of getting from your house to Port Canaveral. Did you guys fly, drive?
Yeah, so we flew to MCO on Saturday evening, and we stayed at Animal Kingdom, Kidani, Saturday night and Sunday night. And again, this got, the closer we got, the more we kept adding on. So we went to Hollywood Studios on Sunday and did a day there, and then stayed Sunday night at the hotel. And then Monday morning, we took the DCL transport. I had arranged for that ahead of time. You just call in. There is a fee. We did the round trip. It was so smooth. We got an email the day before saying we would be picked up. We needed to meet in the lobby at Jumbo House at 8:45, and the bus would leave at 9:15. They came and grabbed our luggage, I think around 7:30 that morning. So anything that we didn't want to carry on, we had used those luggage tags that DCL sends you, and we didn't see it again until we were on the ship and our room was ready. So that was, once we figured out what we want to take with us and made sure everything was packed, that was pretty flawless.
Wow. So you guys didn't even, when you got to the cruise port, you didn't even have to get it to the porter.
Nope, they did it for us.
Okay. That's interesting. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Very cool. So that's one of the beauties of Port Canaveral is most people do a stay, like a bonus stay, right? They do Disney for like a day or two before or a day or two after and kind of like add that to their trip. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was great. It was nice because we didn't have to worry about port arrival time either. So when you do your check-in, if you're taking DCL transport, at least currently this is how it is, that's all taken care of for you. You don't pick a port arrival time. It's just automatically chosen for you based on when they think the bus will get you there. So it was just, I didn't have to worry about how are we going to get from the hotel to the port? And when you have young kids like this, you have car seats. So if you're not driving, then you got to figure out, do we rent car seats? Do we get a private transfer that has car seats? So it just, for where we are in this stage of life, it just made the most sense to do it that way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so I wanted to highlight maybe two things. One is traveling during hurricane season. It's always good to have trip insurance usually. So that's definitely a recommend because you just never know. Like literally one came through after you guys. There's one in there now and we're leaving, in a few days. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of like, it's changing direction. I think we're gonna be fine, but like that's just part of traveling and cruising during this time, right? And then the
Yes.
other thing was just staying somewhere the day before, close to port, right? So making sure that you're not flying in the day of your cruise. Definitely try to
Yeah.
pad it with a day or so just to make sure you're in the area. Because if you miss the cruise ship, you miss the
They're
cruise
not going
ship.
to wait for you.
Yeah, they're not going to wait for
Yeah.
you. There are videos out there I've seen, like on YouTube, where people have missed the cruise ship and other people film them running up
Oh,
the.
that's horrible.
Really sad. Yeah, I can't even imagine. Okay, so you get to the port and you get off the bus, and what's next?
So it's very organized with the way Disney does it. We basically lined up. They took us in. There are two entrances or two queues that you can get into it, depending on whether you have sailed before and you're a Castaway Club member, or if you're like a new sailor. And then I think also Concierge has a separate line, and maybe even Pearl now. I know that that's like a new category for Castaway Club members. So we went into the new Disney Cruiser line, and at this point, you present all of your documents that you have uploaded ahead of time when you do your online check-in. And they double check that, they look at your port arrival form, and then you go through like a security, you take your carry-on, put it through, just like at the airport, put it through a scanner, walk through, pick up your bag, and you head upstairs to this big open, almost like a terminal. Well, it is a terminal, but it looks like an airport terminal. Lots of seating. There's bathrooms. They have, some display cases of the cruise, like mini cruise ships. And you kind of just wait at that point until they start boarding. From my understanding, we were pretty on time, but I know everything depends on like how quickly the ship clears customs whenever it comes back into port, because they're really just like turning over one after another. It's amazing how quickly they do it.
Yeah, I bet so.
Yeah, we were boarding group 2. So there's always a family of the day that's chosen, and then those concierge guests get to board, and then they start 1, 2, 3, and just kind of go like that. So when they call your boarding group, you get another line, and they will scan either your port arrival form, or we had the Disney Magic Band Plus if you're at Disney World, but Disney Band Plus if you're on the cruise, and everything was that way. And just one of us had to scan. So that was really easy to do also. And then you walk up the ramp and you start to get on the ship.
Oh my goodness.
uh, but there's lots of people that are directing you. They have video screens all throughout the port that say like who they're boarding now, which group. Always cast members there to answering your questions and things like that.
When you had your carry-on, so obviously, you did a flight and then boarding the ship. So your carry-on is going to have to look a little different, right?
Yes.
I know this is something that I'm kind of going through mentally, is like, I want to have a swimsuit ready to go in my flight carry-on, but I can't have my bottles of wine in my flight carry-on, right? What type of bags did you mostly see for ship carry-ons? Because obviously, like on the airport, you can have your little roller bag. Did you see people with roller bags, or they mostly got like a shoulder sling bag as they're walking onto the cruise ship?
I saw a few people with roller bags, but I would say the majority were like backpacks or
Mm-hmm.
sling bags.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to bring my Loungefly so badly, but I could not justify it because there was not enough room to carry stuff in that. So we just used backpacks. And I had the kids, each person can have one carry-on. I had them have a carry-on too. My husband and I ended up kind of carrying it for them, but it just gave us, a chance for everyone to have a swimsuit, change of clothes for my little one. You never know what's going to happen. And you never know, they say like 2 o'clock is when you can get into your room, but My husband's bag actually didn't come until 6 o'clock. His was the one that
Mm.
was they figured it out. I don't think it was ever missing. It just was later to arrive. And if you have that early dining, then you may want to consider having, if you're not going to wear to dining what you wore on the ship, you may want to consider having a backup change of clothes for that. Um, and then yeah, any drinks, alcoholic drinks that you were allowed to bring on that you want to bring on. But yeah, I would say most people had backpacks just because you can literally go and start doing everything. You can check out the kids club, you can swim, and that's just easier to move from place to place than a roller bag.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I can imagine getting on the plane easier with like a small roller bag or whatever, but getting on a ship, I don't really want to be toting that around to the pool or anything like that. So I
Yes.
was kind of going through that in my mind. So definitely in the cruise carry-on, what would be good to have is swimsuit, change of clothes, sunscreen probably.
Yep.
And then at least like you have to do if you're bringing alcohol on, you have to have that in your carry-on.
Yes. And then all of your documents that you need to show to get on the ship.
Yes.
I double checked that like 3 times because we actually ended up having to check in using my daughter's birth certificate because her passport
Mm-hmm.
hadn't come in time.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time her passport came, I could change the document on the check-in. So I had 2 copies of ID for her. Everyone else just had one. And that port arrival form. And then we had like empty reusable water bottles in case we
Mm-hmm.
wanted to immediately fill up water. But that was pretty much it. I went through and before we left for our trip, made my flight carry-on packing list and then my cruise carry-on packing list. So
Mm-hmm.
that way, that morning, I could quickly just cross things off, make sure everything was all set. And the nice thing about the checking your luggage with DCL for the ship is that you get at least 2 luggage tags per person when they come. At
Mm-hmm.
least we did. And I know you can ask for more. There's not really like a limit as to how many bags that you can, have them put on the ship for you. Unlike when you fly, sometimes they have the, 2 check bag limit.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Very good to know. I think one other thing I want to mention on carry-ons that just for people listening is probably always to have like if you're taking medication, like have your medication on your
Yes.
carry-on. And then if you are doing any type of like vlogging, any type of like electronic equipment, you should probably carry on too. Like if you have your
Yeah.
camera, your batteries, things like that need to probably
Yep.
be with you,
Yeah.
just
I
for
would say,
safety and all that.
yeah, anything that you think you're going to need before 8 p.m. just to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay, one more logistical question before we get into like the cruise is they have the Disney Cruise Navigator app, and
mhm.
I have heard that you're supposed to put your phone in like airplane mode, and then you
Yes.
can use the Wi-Fi on the ship, but only through the app. Can you kind of explain that? Were you able to use anything else, or did you purchase Wi-Fi while you were there?
Sure. So, yes, you can put your phone in airplane mode, connect to the cruise app, and then you can access the cruise app with no issues. You can also, if you have an iPhone, iMessage works over that. Like I was able to text family back home over
Excellent.
that Wi-Fi, and then I believe WhatsApp will also work. I didn't use that, but I'm guessing if you have like a Droid, you could load WhatsApp and use that to
Mm-hmm,
text.
mm-hmm.
And so my husband and I actually never even used the cruise app messaging. We just used iMessage. We did purchase Wi-Fi on Tuesday of our so day 2 because we're signing up for Springtime Surprise, the 10-miler, and that was when the registration opened. So we purchased Wi-Fi that day. It's kind of cool the way that they differentiate the plans, so you know what you need. It's like the standard plan will get you text messaging and maybe minimal browsing. The next plan up will get you access to like your Facebook apps, things like that. And then the highest plan will allow you to stream like through Hulu or whatever. So we did
Wow.
that middle plan.
Mm-hmm,
And then it gave us a chance to, check work email, things like that.
mm-hmm.
But we only did it for one day. I know if you do it for the whole cruise, it's probably a discounted rate per day, but for us, we just needed it that one day, so we just did it, and it worked fine. I had no issues. I was able to
Excellent.
register 3 of us, and when you're registering for Run Disney, you sit in the waiting room, and I thought, "Oh, I'm gonna get kicked out for sure. There's no way this is not gonna work."
I was gonna say, I'm
But
very surprised you actually got it. So
yes,
congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, we were in port at that point, at Nassau. We were on the ship, but technically we were docked in port. So I don't know if that made a difference. Like if you were trying
Mm,
to do it on a sea day, maybe you wouldn't have as much success. But for us, it worked. So and then otherwise, yeah, we just used the Wi-Fi on the app, and it's nice. Even the app, if when you go through and you're picking the things that you're interested in, it'll like push notifications to your phone, and then
mm.
like for me to my Apple Watch. So it's like 15 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Nikki starts meeting or whatever at this
Wow.
place. So yeah, we didn't have any issues with the Wi-Fi.
Very good. Okay. First day on the ship, what was your plans? What did you guys do?
So we were on the ship about by noon. And we went right to Marceline Market, which is the lunch buffet,
Okay.
because I had read ahead of time that it gets pretty busy for lunch, um, as more groups start boarding. And we had eaten breakfast that morning, like around 8, and everyone was starting to get hungry. So we went right to the buffet. We had lunch. It was great. We sat right by the window. There's so many offerings at Marsley Market. We actually ended up going back there to eat lunch 2 other times just because we really enjoyed the food.
Mhm,
And then we headed to the open house at the kids club.
mhm.
I had pre-registered both my kids when I did the online check-in, but you still have to go in person, and then again, our kids had the Disney Band Plus, so they just scanned those and used those for tracking within the kids club. But if you don't have that, or I think there's still some ships that haven't rolled it out yet, they'll give your kids a wristband as well, that has a tracker on it, and you just give it back at the end of the cruise, or I think they charge you like $10.
Mhm.
Um, so we did that. We toured the kids club, which is awesome. The kids loved it. We loved it. We were like, we want to come hang out here. They have so many different rooms.
I've heard
Um,
that.
yeah, it was really, and it was nice to do the open house with
Mhm.
them, especially again with young kids. Okay, here's the bathroom. Here are the hand washing stations. These are the people that if you want mommy and daddy to come get you, or if there's something wrong, like look for someone in the yellow shirt, stuff like that. Um, so it was good to kind of orient them to that. And then after that, we just did some exploring of the ship, kind of trying to get our bearings. We walked out onto the pool deck and saw the pools. Um, and then our rooms were ready by 2 p.m. So we went to our room at 2, and some of our luggage was there. So I started to kind of just get organized, unpacked. The kids sat out on the veranda. At that point, we hadn't left Port Canaveral yet. So they were just
Mhm.
looking at it, watching people. And then my son fell asleep. So he took a nap. And I stayed in the room with him. And then my husband took my daughter, and they went and watched the sail away party,
Oh, cool. Mhm.
which they said was very cool, very hot. They both came back
Oh,
super sweaty because you're still, like at
you're
port
not
in Port
moving.
Canaveral.
Yeah.
No, and it's August and it's 3 o'clock, and there's a bunch of people all watching. So they did that, and by the time they got back, I had ordered some room service, because that is one thing, if people don't know, room service is included in your cruise fare, which is awesome. And I wish we had taken more advantage of it. But I mean, there's like so much food is included. You can't possibly try everything. But I had heard about the all hands on deck cheese plate, which is like right up my family's alley. So I ordered that. I ordered a glass of wine and sat outside while my son finished up his nap. And then everyone else, my husband and daughter came back, and we snacked and um, got ready for dinner. We got ready for the show because we had late dining.
Mm.
So we would see our show first. Our show was usually at 6 or 6:30, and then dining was at 8:15. So we went and saw the show the first night, which is Seize the Adventure. It's kind of like I'm trying to think of the word, not a mashup, but they go through, it's a story about Goofy, and then a lot of different Disney songs and characters are on the stage, and they kind of go through a story and sing songs from Frozen and Moana and Princess and the Frog. So we did that, and then the kids wanted to kind of explore some more. We just kind of wandered a lot that first night, and then we went to dinner at Marvel, and then we all crashed because it was a long day and a late night.
So I'm curious because we picked early dining, and just because our kids literally go to bed at starting at 6:30, So how did that go for your 3-year-old having dinner at 8? Is that normal for your family, or was that kind of pushing it?
It's not normal at all. And it was pushing it. He did okay he did okay all nights. The first night he did okay. I was worried about the first night as we started to kind of get onto that schedule. But what he did do is every day took a 2-hour nap, and he does not nap at home. So that was the way that we kind of got through it, was just letting him nap. And then the whole week that we got back home from the trip, was just kind of getting everyone readjusted back to a normal schedule. But when we had switched from January to August, we got bumped to second dining. And I know you can get on a wait list, and I've heard most people have success with the wait list. We thought we'll just leave it and see how it goes, because the only con to early dining is it is at 5:45, which is kind of early. It's there's no, I mean, I understand because they have to have 2 seatings and not end dinner at 11 o'clock every night. But it's either really early or late. So we just took everything. We'll just follow the kids' cues. We usually got an afternoon snack. We had our own table. We were not seated with another family, which was nice because then our servers knew to bring out kids' food pretty quickly. We didn't really dawdle at dinner. I mean, we would watch the shows, but we were done eating by usually 9:15, 9:30, which may seem like a lot, but there's people who were, not finishing up till 10. So we moved pretty quickly through dinner. So yeah, they did okay, but it's not our ideal dinner time. For us is 6:30, which is not an option. It's either early or late. So we just made it work.
Okay. So that was the end of your first day, your embarkation day. So now what do we call this? Day 2.
Yeah. Day 1.5, day 2.
And what was your day 2?
So day 2 was Nassau. We did not get off the ship. We chose to stay on. I think that there's a lot that Nassau has to offer. I just think our kids are not old enough to really enjoy it yet. One day, my daughter is she's a thrill ride junkie, and I think she would love Atlantis, all those water slides, but she's just not tall enough. So we felt we're paying a lot of money to be on the Disney cruise. Let's just enjoy the Disney cruise, and maybe some things will be less crowded because people will be getting off on Nassau. So we got up in the morning. One thing that I would probably say, if you're not going to get off on Nassau, this is for the Wish. I don't know how it is everywhere else, but breakfast was crazy that morning. I think a lot of people were trying to quickly eat before they had their different excursions starting, and it was just a madhouse at Marceline Market. There is a sit-down breakfast you can do. We never did that, but probably what I would do in the future is either do a later breakfast or get room service for breakfast, because it was just crazy. We were sitting at this tiny little cafe table in lounger chairs, and my son spilled food on the floor. It was just not relaxing, and we didn't need to be eating right then because we weren't getting off. So future, we will just wait a little or do room service. So we did that. We did the pools that day. The pools, there's on the Wish, there are a lot of pools, which I think on some of the other ships there are not quite as many. So we mostly hung out at the back of the ship where there is the splash pad, which is for kids 6 and under. And there's a little pool called Trixie's Falls, which is maybe a 1 to 2 feet of water, and there's like a little waterfall. And then there's actually a really fun slide. It's not the Aqua Mouse, but it's a covered slide called Slidosaurus Rex that's right there. And it's a water slide. It lands into a big thing. So we hung out there. It was perfect because my son could be in either the splash pad or that little pool, and my daughter was just going down the slide over and over again. So it was a good spot for us. And then we did check out some of the deeper pools, but they can get crowded very quickly, and it's not, my daughter wants to like put on her goggles and go swimming under, and it's just not a pool that's conducive to that. But the funnel vision is right there, so you can, hang out in the pool and watch a movie, which is really nice. So we did that. Then we dropped the kids off at the kids club for a little, and my husband and I went and checked out some of the adult only deck, which has like the Cove Cafe. We got a coffee there. We hung out on some of the loungers. There is an adults only pool and some hot tubs. We didn't do those, but we just kind of enjoyed some kid free time for a little bit, which was really nice. And then after that, we had lunch. That day we did lunch on the pool deck, and they have Mickey's Festival of Food. So there's like Donald's Cantina, which has Mexican food. There's pizza, there's barbecue, and there's burgers and hot dogs. So we did Donald's Cantina. It's like, a Disney version of Chipotle. You can make your own bowl, make your own taco. It was really good food. We enjoyed that. And in the afternoon, my son took a nap, and my daughter and I went and did the Uncharted Adventure, which is the game on the Disney Cruise Line app. I think other ships have midship detective agency, and you use your phone and you kind of go around the ship and search for clues. This was one place, I don't know if it was the Wi-Fi or the app, but we struggled. We had a lot of glitches with that. So that was kind of unfortunate. Hopefully they've worked some of that out, but we did attempt that. And then what else we did that day? We tried, so the other thing about the Wish that we like, there's a lot of character meets, but the lines get very long very quickly. I'm like, we need some lightning lane up in here.
It's a bigger ship, right? It's a bigger ship, so there's a lot more people on it. Yeah.
So, and there was a couple times where we would get in line for a character meet, and she would be like, I don't want to wait in this line. I'm like, that's okay, we don't have to. And we just got out. We did meet 2 characters. We met Moana, and we met Donald on Pirate Night dressed as a some type of pirate. So those were cool, especially because she has never met Moana before. So that was one where I was like, all right, we should wait this out. But yeah, some of the other characters, the lines were just so long, and people would line up like a half an hour beforehand. And I was like, we are blessed that we can go meet these characters at Disney. So we'll just choose to spend our time doing something else instead.
So. Yeah. If there's anything, if you know Disney people, it's like when something drops, it's immediately sold out, or people line up an hour plus early for something. So Disney, Disney fans are crazy. You just kind of got to know that that's part of the territory, right?
Yes. There was so most of the characters would meet in the Grand Hall, and there's like a bunch of different levels that overlook the Grand Hall. And it'd be like, say, Minnie Mouse is meeting right now, and we want to get in line to meet Rapunzel, and you couldn't find the Rapunzel line. It just was like, okay, we'll line up behind the Minnie Mouse people, and then when she's done, we'll have you guys swing around, and we'll try to keep everyone in line. I was just like, oh goodness.
Yeah.
we're gonna skip out on this one. They do offer the Royal Gathering on I think every ship, which is a good place to meet all those princesses at once. But again, that was one that we had, and we ended up releasing that. Hopefully another family was able to grab it on the app, because it was going to be like a half an hour wait just to get in. My daughter's just like, that's just not what I want to do. And so I was like, that's fine. We didn't pay extra for this. Other family will be able to take, who maybe wasn't able to get it, will be able to take our spot. There's no point in waiting in line if you're not interested in doing it.
And that's the thing with kids too. Traveling with kids, you kind of got to be flexible, because you don't know what they're going to be into, just same with people planning like their big Disney trip. Like if they've never been before, if it's their first one, like you kind of don't know if maybe the kids are going to hate the characters or maybe they're going to hate the rides. You kind of have to
Yes.
plan it all and then be able to just pivot with it, right?
Yep. Yeah. Um, so yeah, that was our afternoon. And then that evening we saw the Little Mermaid show, which was fabulous. One thing we did do, I forgot to say the first night, was we purchased the refillable popcorn bucket. And it works the same way it does at Disney World. You purchase it once and then you can get discounted. I think it's like $2 to get a refill at every time you want to refill it. So we did that and we'd have that as like a snack during the show, and the show was usually 6 or 6:30. So that was like a good tide me over till dinner time kind of option for us and for the kids. So we saw the Little Mermaid that night, and then we dropped the kids off at the kids club. This kind of became our thing. We'd see the show, let them go to the kids club for an hour while we went and checked out some of the different lounges. And that night we went to Hyperspace Lounge, which is the Star Wars. And then we also went to the Rose, which is my favorite adult space. That is truly adults only. Some of the other lounges, like kids are allowed in until 9 o'clock or so. And not that I have anything against having kids in the lounges, but this one it's right in between the two adult dining, which is Apollo and Enchante. And it's called the Rose, and it's beautiful. It overlooks the water. We had a great bartender there that we loved, and we saw him the next night too. And it was just like a perfect have a drink, have some time to just talk, and then go get the kids, and then go to dinner.
So question for you about the kids club. How late does it stay open?
I think they're open till midnight.
Oh, wow.
The latest our kids stayed was 11. So this night, my husband, the second night, he went to I think it was a bourbon or whiskey tasting, one of those. And my daughter really wanted to go back to the kids club after dinner. My son was like, I want to go to bed. So I took him back to the room, and then my husband took my daughter, dropped her off, went to his tasting, then picked her up. I know at 11 o'clock they close one of the sections, which is my son's favorite. It's called Captain Mickey and Minnie's, or Mickey and Minnie's Captain Deck or something, and it's like got slides and a pretend wheel, and they close it at 11 every night to clean it, because we got pinged to pick him up one night because he was crying, and they're like, he's crying just because we had to close the one room to clean it, not because he really wanted you to come get him. But the cast members are very good. Anytime a kid says, I want my mom or dad, or they get upset and ask for it, they have to let you know. So so yeah, I think they're open till midnight.
Wow.
Which is very late. And I guess the older kids can. I mean, my daughter did pretty well till 11, but she's also, anytime there's other kids to play with, she'll just power through.
Right. Wow. So, okay. So that was day 2. Day 3. And that was your Nassau day, you said, but you stayed on the ship. Yes. Okay. So day 3. Let's talk about it.
Castaway.
Oh, yay.
Which is, we spent quite a long time there, and I still feel like we touched maybe a third of it. There's so much to do there. So day 3. So this day, I said, we are not going to go to the buffet for breakfast again after that craziness. So one thing that Disney does is you get, I think, 4 hang tags, depending, I guess 1 per night or 1 per day. In your stateroom, you'll have these little hang tags, and you can order like a continental room service breakfast the night before. I believe the tag has to be on your door by 3 a.m. You can pick the time that you want them to drop it off, and you can get coffee, you can get pastries, fruit, cereals, milk. So we just did that for that morning. I ordered ahead of time. They were very prompt. They dropped it all off, and we kind of had breakfast in the room as we got ready for Castaway. And we were off pretty within the first half hour that you could get off. We just packed up our bags. Beach towels are provided. So we really just had on our bathing suits and brought sunscreen, brought our like water bottles to fill up. And then I had bought on Amazon some like collapsible sand toys, so that way they could like collapse flat in our suitcase, but then the kids could play with them. But we didn't bring much, and you do have to bring your room key card. or key to the world card. I'm not sure what they call it. Even if you have your magic band, you still have to bring that card, because you're getting off the ship. And then if you're over 18, you also have to bring like ID, so they can just make sure that the person who's getting on is the person who's supposed to be getting back on the ship. So those were the only things that we brought with us. And we went right to the family beach. We chose to walk. There is a tram that you can take, but I wanted to get some pictures along the way, and it wasn't too hot yet. We went to the first portion of the family beach. I think that if were going to go to the second, we would have wanted to take the tram, because by the time we got there, everyone was like, okay, I'm tired of walking. So there's plenty of chairs. We got a chair with an umbrella, put our stuff down, and went right into the water. And it's just beautiful. Like it's calm. There's not really any waves. It's a nice gradual slope. The water is crystal clear. There's fish that are swimming around. So that is something to know. I wasn't sure how my kids are going to do. They're not huge fish. There's some bigger ones, but mostly just small little fish. And we just hung out and did some sandcastles. My daughter and husband went over to this section. I could see it from where we are, where there's like a ropes type course that you can do over the water. We also checked out Pelican Plunge, which is the water slides that go into the ocean, and I did them with my daughter. They also have life jackets. That's one other thing I want to say, because just like they do at resorts and on the cruise, there's life jackets plenty available. So she threw on a life jacket and we did that. It is you land in a pretty deep area. So I kind of like hung out the bottom to make sure that she did okay. And we ate lunch at Cookies Barbecue. And that was really good. There's so much food to choose from. We really enjoyed that. They also have the same unlimited soft serve ice cream there on the island. So and that one is self-serve. On the cruise ship, they will do it for you, but on the island, it's self-serve with a bunch of different flavors. I think that day they had strawberry and mango and banana, chocolate and vanilla. There's a lot to choose from. And things we didn't do that we had considered doing was the 5K course. Logistically, I just couldn't figure out, me personally, how I'd make that work, because then I'd have to like get changed in my bathing suit, and I always want to shower after I run. So I was like, that's just not going to work. But I could see in the future maybe trying to do that. And then there's a ton of shopping, ton of different bars where you can get, specialty drinks if you want. We didn't even do any excursions, but you can do, I think, parasailing. You can rent water bikes. There was a really kind family who had rented the inner tube package. So it was like an inner tube and then like a float mat. I don't know what they're called.
Okay.
But it's looks like a yoga mat almost. It's bigger
Yeah.
and it floats. And they were leaving, I don't know, like an hour or so before we ended up leaving. They're like, if you guys want this, we paid for it, but we're done with it. So feel free to use it. So, we did that, and then we passed it on when we left. So you can rent those devices. And those are things you don't have to necessarily book ahead of time. There's like plenty of rentals available. There's snorkel gear you can rent, and there's a whole snorkeling section, which my daughter had expressed interest in. So maybe if we go back in the future, we would do something like that. And then there's Scuttle's Cove, which is basically the kids club on the island. Again, we did not do that. It looked very fun, and I'm sure that there's just so much to do.
Yeah.
And then that would be a great option if you wanted to go as adults over to Serenity Bay and do some time on the adults only beach. And you could, have your kids go to Scuttle's Cove. So yeah, we just spent the day swimming. My kids are total beach kids. They would be happy going to the beach all the time. So we just kind of took that and ran with it. And then when everyone got tired, we were like, okay, packed up, took the tram back to the ship, and went back to the room. So it was great. And the weather was nice. It wasn't too hot. There's a nice breeze, and the water was comfortable. Like sometimes in the summer, it's like bathtub water, but it was really nice. And all the cast members there were wonderful. Everyone was really willing to help and kind. And it's interesting how some of them like live on the island. And so we got to talking with some of them about that. So, and then sometimes you'd see people from the ship that you recognize that were coming onto the island to work. So it was really fun. I would, if I'm going to go back on a Disney cruise, I'd want to make sure that I stopped there again, or Lighthouse Point. I'm assuming Lighthouse Point will be very similar. So
Yeah, probably. I've actually seen some cruising itineraries where they do a double day at Castaway, where it's not maybe back to back, but they like go and then they maybe go somewhere else and then they come back to it. So
yeah.
I'm like, that would be me, because I feel like I'm like listening to you, I'm like, this is like exactly my family next week, because we're stopping in Nassau. We're probably not getting off. I didn't plan any excursions or planning just staying on the ship, So all of these things are like, I'm wanting to do the 5K with my daughter. So if I do it, I'll have to let you know like how it goes, because I'm also like, I'm definitely going to shower because I want pictures with the characters and I don't want to look like a sweaty mess, once we get back off again. So I don't know how it's going to work either, but I have definitely
won't be as hot.
Yeah, I've definitely overbooked that day. Like we have some of the floats, we have the snorkels. My husband and I are going to do paddle boarding in the afternoon. Like, so we have like all this stuff planned for that day. I'm like, I don't know how it's all going to work, but we'll see.
It'll be great.
You mentioned they have life jackets. I've also seen some people take their like kid floats, those like kiddie ones.
Yeah, the puddle jumpers.
Yeah, the puddle jumpers. So that was going to be one of my questions, because my 5-year-old is like pretty much swimming by herself now, but my 3-year-old is far from it. And I was curious, like, do we just go with the life jackets, or do I try to find a way to pack this puddle jumper?
So I guess it depends on what your kids are comfortable with. We've never used puddle jumpers. I've like used old school floaties, but even so, my daughter doesn't. Whenever we go to a Disney destination, she prefers just to use the life jacket if she feels like she needs it. My son is still like, I'm cool with just being waist deep and not really worried about swimming necessarily. So he won't even really try to go far into the water where I feel like I would need to put something on him. But I would say, I mean, my opinion would be, if the kids are comfortable in life jackets, I would just save the room for things to bring home, because we ended up like squishing how much can we fit in this.
Oh, I know that's going to be us too. Okay, very cool. So then you get back on the ship, shower, get ready for, was there a show that night also?
It's pirate night.
Okay.
Yes. And we did not necessarily dress up. We all had pirate t-shirts that we wore. So that night, I didn't even talk about, so Tuesday night was our dinner at Arendelle, which is a really fun dinner. They have a whole little show. You can meet some of the characters they kind of walk by. And when you do the 4-night cruise on the Wish, you do all 3 restaurants, but then your second night, I believe it's usually your second night restaurant, you go back to it on Pirate Night. But it's not like, if it's Marvel, you don't have the show. If it's Arendelle, you don't have the show. It's just you're eating in that
in that
restaurant, but you have a pirate themed meal. We did not actually go to dinner that night. We just got full deck pizza. Because we looked at the Pirate Night menu. We weren't really like, oh, I actually want to eat here. It's a lot of food. By day 4, we were like, oh my gosh, I've eaten so much food. So we're like, maybe we'll just do pizza. We'll hang out. We went and we saw the Mickey and Minnie pirate deck party. The kids watched that. It was very cute. We liked that a lot. And just kind of like took it low key, because everyone was tired from being at Castaway that day. So we chose to do that. What else did we do? Was there anything else? Oh, and then after the pirate show, so the pirate show is in between the 2 dinners, so it's like 7:30. We went to Luna Lounge, which is where they do a lot of their activities, like family activities, and then also adult like game show type things in the evening. But that night they had like karaoke, like Disney karaoke. So we went there and kind of hung out there, and then just went back to the room. We heard the fireworks. We didn't even see the fireworks. We were all just like tonight's the night we're just going to go to sleep
Yeah,
early.
done.
And
Yeah.
yes, we did that. And the kids were fine with that. They probably didn't even know that there was fireworks that they missed. But there is a second show, the pirate, I think it's Rockin' Pirate Parlay or Pirate Rockin' Parlay Party, where they have a band. I think the singer is like Red from the Pirates of the Caribbean ride that new character they
Oh,
added in
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and they sing like 80s rock music, I believe, and then they do
Cute.
fireworks after that. Yeah. So we just chose to skip that one and for everyone's sanity, get some sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
Very
Pirate Night
cool.
was fun. That's when my daughter met Donald dressed as pirates. You could see all the other characters in their pirate costume. A lot of the cast members were dressed up in pirate costumes. So it was neat. And there's some families that went all out.
Yeah.
So.
I've seen some pictures and they're like literally like coats, like the full length, like embroidered pirate coats. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like we are hodgepodging some pirate outfits together. I'm more of like a Disney bounder, you know, where you kind of like find what you have and make it work. And that's what we're doing for Pirate Night. But yeah, we're definitely going to kind of dress up. But like I said, like my daughter's going to wear her Rey, like Star Wars dress, but it's kind of like got like scraps to it. So it kind of looks like it could be piratey, but we're going to make it work.
Yeah.
But very cool. Yeah, I can only imagine now that you say that with being so tired that Castaway Key Day, I'm like, I might have to make some changes because we actually have all that day and then they have their Bippity Boppity Boutique that night.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking they might not even be awake for it after all day at the beach. Oh my goodness. So
yeah, the sun takes a lot out of you.
It really does. It really does. And especially that's, you know, they're in school all day now. So it's like, we're not lounging out in the sun now. So
right. Yeah.
It is going to be a big difference when we're on the boat.
Definitely.
Okay. So that was day 3. So now we've got one more full day.
Yes. Day 4, and that's the sea day.
Okay.
So everyone is on the ship that day. So that morning, we again took advantage of sleep and just kind of everyone woke up when they were ready. There was nothing like we didn't have to get off the ship. So we just took the morning. We went to a later breakfast at Marcy Market, which was much less chaotic and calmer, and we were able to find table and everything like that. We did more pool time, and we actually rode the Aquamouse. My husband and daughter went, and then myself and my daughter went because my son wasn't tall enough for that. And so we did that. And the line that day, everyone was saying, oh, Nassau Day would be the day to do it, but it was shorter on the sea day. We waited like 10 minutes each time. And it's really cute. It's a cute ride. There's a lot of water that gets sprayed in your face. But it was fun, and my daughter loved it. So it was worth the wait. And then we again tried to work on doing some of that Uncharted Adventure game. That was the day that we met Moana. And then we took the kids. They wanted to go to the kids club, so we took them there. And my husband played Final Jackpot Bingo, which was really fun. And the way they do bingo on Disney Cruise Line is they have, at least on the Wish, it's like every day they do a certain amount cash bingo, and then the final jackpot bingo is whatever wasn't won. Because to win the big cash prize on each bingo, you have to like get the full card filled in less than 46 numbers. And if that doesn't happen, then you don't necessarily win the jackpot, you just win a certain amount. I'm not really sure how they calculate it, but at the end, it's like, I think the winner of the final jackpot ends up winning like $8,000 or something.
Oh
like
my goodness.
Yes.
Okay.
So we
then.
did that. Yeah. And they have different packs. You can get just a paper pack. You can get the Bingo Betty, which is like a iPad, and it just fills in the squares for you as the numbers are called. So we did like a combo where we got the 2 iPads, and then we also had one paper pack. And we played that. We did not win. We were very close. We had 2 numbers left that we needed when someone finally got the jackpot. But I'm sure there's like a ton of other people who also were in the same
that were so close. Yeah.
But it was fun.
Wow.
That is an extra charge, but that was for us. It was like, that was worth it. So we did that, and then we picked the kids up from the kids club. Our show that night was Aladdin, which was a really good show as well. Um, and then again, same kind of deal that we had done nights before. They wanted to go back to the kids club between, so we'd let them do that. We went back to the Rose one last time. One thing, if people are interested in, enjoying alcoholic beverages and you don't bring your own wine, we did not. In hindsight, I probably would, but we did not. But some of those bars or lounges, they have like a sommelier bin, which is especially the Rose because it's right between Palo and Enchante. And it's, whatever has been opened for people to have glasses of throughout their adult dinners. And then instead of, just dumping it out, they put it in the sommelier bin. And so you can get some really nice glasses of wine or champagne or whatever for like $10 a glass out of the sommelier bin. So that night I said, surprise me. And the bartenders there are so great. They're so knowledgeable. And so we did that. And then we had dinner at 1923. Which was a very fun dinner. That was probably my favorite meal out of all of them. There's, again, some people dress up for that night in like 20s style outfits. We did not do that. But it was a very good meal. And then we went back to the room and kind of got packed for embarkation the next day. One thing I did not mention that I forgot we did multiple times throughout the trip was laundry. The Fairy Tale Laundry facility is like the nicest laundry mat I've ever been to. It's very pretty in there. They have irons available. My husband had to iron some clothes, some pants, and washers and dryers. You just tap your, card or your magic band, and then you can wash, dry. You get notifications sent to your app when it's done, when your laundry is done. And because we had stayed in the DVC villa before we went on the ship, I took those little bottles of laundry detergent with
Ecos
us.
or whatever.
Yes, yeah. And I did that also for the dish soap and the little sponge they give you because we were washing out water bottles and stuff like that. But I took that with me. But if you don't have detergent, you can purchase some there too. But for us doing Disney World before and after the trip, we had to get laundry done. And it was so, I love not coming home to a bunch of laundry. So it was nice to like, this is clean. We're not going to wear it for the rest. I'm putting it in my packing cube and it's going in a suitcase. So packing up the last night was not as more intensive as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And the following morning was crazy. So it was good to have stuff packed beforehand.
Yes. It's funny you mentioned that. I actually I've been using this for a while. So Freeze laundry sheets. And so I'm going to take them because I was like, wow, how like it's little laundry detergent. And instead of having to have that bottle, like I thought this would be really good. But you did bring up a good point about having something to maybe rinse out your water bottles. Because we're definitely taking some reusable water bottles, and my plan is to only have water in them, but you never know. Like, I don't know how, if somebody wants juice one day or whatever, and that happens, then we probably will want to like scrub it out. So that's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. It was good. We brought some of those like liquid IV packs a couple times. And then, once those are in there, you just kind of want to rinse them out. Also, my kids are, their kids are like chewing on the things. And I'm like, all right, we need to clean these so we can use them. But so that was kind of the last day. And then the next morning was disembarkation, which again was crazy, chaotic breakfast because everyone is trying to get breakfast before they get up. So if you have early dining, you have early breakfast. And then if you want to go to the sit down, like me, dining room breakfast, if you have late dining, you have later breakfast, but late breakfast is like 8 o'clock. It's not super late.
Right.
And we also had to make sure that we were off in time to get the DCL bus back to Disney World. So what we did was you can put your luggage out the night before, if you want them to take your luggage off for you. Otherwise, you can walk your own luggage off. We went ahead and just put our luggage out the night before. They give you tags with the character on them. Ours was Mickey. And then when you go to get your luggage after you disembark, you just go to like the Mickey section and there's your luggage there. And there are people there helping you. And then you go through, I guess it's customs technically. They just looked at our documentation and then let us off the ship. So I don't know if they run your luggage through like security beforehand. I'm not really sure how that works. I know when you're getting on the ship they do, because I've heard stories of people who've had things like confiscated, like you can't bring anything that resembles a power strip, things like that. So I know before you get on the ship that they definitely run it through security. I'm assuming afterwards they do too. But yeah, we were just able to pick up our luggage and then get on our bus and head out. So breakfast was busy, but otherwise getting off the ship was simple.
Is room service an option on that last day or no?
I don't know. And that would be probably something I would choose to do. I mean, now if you're not trying to catch a bus to get to the airport or to a hotel, then maybe, but we just felt like we don't know how long it's going to take to get through customs, and we have to make sure we're on this bus to get back to our resort. So it just felt more chaotic. And with little kids, you can't, it was like, I have to go with them and get their food. And then while my husband holds the table, and then I have to go get my food, or he has to go get both of it. It's just like everything takes twice as long.
Yes,
you can't like leave them by themselves.
Yeah, it really does.
But
so then you took the bus straight to the airport, or did you stay back at Disney?
We stayed back at Disney.
Okay.
We went back to Kidani, and we got to Kidani by 10:30. So it's kind of like the old Magical Express buses where you stop maybe at like a couple different resorts. I think we were the either second of 3 or third of 4. I can't remember. We got there by probably about 10:30. Our room was definitely not ready, so we just dropped our bags with bell services. This is another where I was like, make my carry-on list again. To make sure we had some suits, because I knew we were going to go to the pool. So we went to the pool and had lunch at the pool, and then our room was ready by about 2:30. We went back, got showered, bathed, whatever, and then went to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party.
Oh my goodness.
Which was very fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can only imagine. What a great way to end the trip. Oh my goodness.
Yes. So it was a lot of Disney, but it was
yeah. Was there a theme on your ship? Like, I know we're doing Halloween on the high seas.
No. Oh, well, actually, yes, it was still part of the 25th silver anniversary. Okay. Yeah. So there were fireworks night too. Again, we did not see them. We could hear them, but we didn't see them. And then they had, I guess, some special drinks. They had some special decor. Some like the Fab Five were in there, like those blue outfits.
Yep.
But it was pretty subtle.
Okay, so I know Disney usually has those bounce back offers, and it's called something different for Disney Cruise Line. Did you take advantage of that?
We did. It's called I know it as a placeholder.
Yes, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, placeholder.
So I had mentioned it to my husband ahead of time, like, hey, they offer this, and we were both on the same page. Let's just see how we all like it. Well, by day 2, we were like, yeah, we're going to put down a placeholder. So I was under the impression you had to go to guest services to do it, but actually you do not. It's right there on the app. They make it very easy. You can just go on the Disney Cruise Line app. You can place 2 staterooms under a placeholder. So we went ahead and did 2 with the thought that maybe family would travel with us in the future. The best part about it is if you have the funds available to do it, you do it right then. And if you don't travel by the time it expires, or if you decide to cancel it, you just get your money back. There's no fee. So it's $250 per placeholder, which is 1 room per placeholder. So we did 2 of those, and you have 2 years to sail. And with the placeholder, you get 10% off of your cruise. And if your cruise ends up being 7 nights or longer, you get a discounted deposit. So I want to say it's like 50%. So if you don't, instead of having to put down $2,000 as your deposit, you have to put down $1,000. So for us, it was like a no-brainer. You save money, you can get it back if you decide not to use it. And you can do 2 rooms, which is that's nice. So yeah, we did that.
Yeah. I know I'm going to do it. I haven't spoke to my husband about it yet, but I did talk to my sister-in-law who's like, she's been like our au pair forever. And I'm like, next cruise, like I said, just so you know, there's this thing on the cruise where you can get, in advance. And I said, I'm going to do 2 rooms because I think you can do 2 rooms. And she's like, okay.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's
very good.
It's definitely a nice, offer that they give.
Yeah. Anything that you didn't bring that you felt like, oh, I should have brought this?
Not really. I probably would have, I think I said this, I probably would have brought on the 2 bottles of wine. We went to Disney World beforehand, so I was like, do I fly down with wine? Like, I don't really want to buy Disney wine. But I probably would have done it because looking at what we paid for like extras, I'm like, I should have just done it ahead of time. But you live and you learn. My husband did the beer mug package, which is where you purchase, and you can do this ahead of time. You purchase a beer mug. It's a really nice mug. It says Wish on it. And you pay, I think it's like $17 for it. But basically you get a 20-ounce pour or 16-ounce pour for the price of like a 12-ounce pour. So he did the math. He had to have like 4 beers to make it worth it, which was like 1 a day. So that was fine. So he did that. So that's something that if you have a beer drinker in your family, I would do that because Disney doesn't do beverage packages for reasons that totally make sense. They want it to be more of like a family friendly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I probably would have done that. And no, I actually feel like we brought stuff that we didn't end up using.
So that was going to be my next question. What did you not need that you brought?
So we definitely use the reusable water bottles a lot because that's just easy to fill up right then and there. I had brought like coffee mugs that we just didn't use those. We had our coffee in the morning, and then if we wanted to buy a coffee, we bought a coffee at like the specialty places, or on the pool deck they had the to-go like coffee cups that you get like at Disney World, the throwaway ones. So I probably wouldn't have brought those. We lucked out that we did not need any type of medicine. I would still bring it, but because you don't know what you're going to get on the ship. But we didn't need any of that. And then unfortunately, we didn't really do any pin trading. So I brought our pins, and my daughter was just like, I just have too many other things that I want to do. And so we didn't do that. I did not bring any like toys or anything. I know some people do that. Our family, we didn't need it. So we didn't bring anything to like keep them occupied in the room. I brought a book, but I barely ever got a chance to read.
Right.
And then I did bring some workout gear, hoping that I would get to the gym more, because I'm running the half marathon. So I needed to run, and I only got there once to run. It was a nice gym, but it was just like, and there was it wasn't anything like there wasn't treadmills available or anything like that. You're just busy doing other things.
Yeah. There's so much to do.
Yeah.
I think that's too where I feel a little bit okay. Cause Josh and I have done a cruise before where we stopped in Nassau. Granted, it was 10 years ago, but I'm in the same boat with you, like 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. There's not a lot we can do on Nassau where I feel like super comfortable, to me, I feel like we're paying all this money to be on the ship. Let's be on the ship. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to ask you one other question. It's escaping my mind now. Oh, what would be something that maybe looking forward to your next cruise that you definitely want to do, or like anything that you want to book? Cause I know the ship also has like I know we're doing like a stem to stern wine tasting or something like that. Is there anything that you're like, okay, next time we're definitely doing these things or whatever?
Yeah. I think next time, we will definitely do one of the adults only dinners.
Mm-hmm.
We had both restaurants booked, and then we ended up canceling them for a couple reasons. One, I wasn't sure how the kids were gonna. I knew my daughter would be fine in the kids club. I was not sure how my son would do. He
Mm-hmm.
ended up being okay, but he did like, and this is great. And this is not negative because an hour is a long time, but he capped out at an hour. Like that's when he was like, okay, I'm done. Um, and some of those dinners can be longer than that, especially like the
Yeah.
enchanté dinner. So I probably would, especially if we travel with family in the future, knowing there's like someone
Mm-hmm.
else who can help out, we would probably book an adults only dinner. My husband did again, I think it was the bourbon tasting, and he
Mm-hmm.
said it was the person who did it was great. It was fun. But he's like, I don't really need to do that again. So that's probably not something that he would do again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had looked at some of the spa services, and so I may do that. A lot of it was like, oh, this sounds fun, but then, oh, it's the first time on the ship. I want to have time to do all this, and I want to have family time, and
Mm-hmm.
and not that I don't want to have family time in the future, but I do think we'd probably book more adult only things to do in the future.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and then everything else was you kind of just sign up while you're on the ship once
Mm-hmm.
you see what the navigators look like the bingo or the shows, or there's crafts, there's like learn to draw different characters and things like that.
Very
So
cool.
yeah.
Okay, and we didn't mention this. We should have mentioned this in the beginning, but what type of room did you have? I think you said you had a veranda.
Yes, we chose the deluxe family ocean view veranda. So there's like the deluxe ocean view veranda, and then there's the deluxe family ocean view veranda. The family one gives you a little bit more space.
Mm-hmm.
We had the main bed, which is like a queen size bed, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and then the couch, which turns into a twin, and then the pull down bunk. So my son slept on the couch, my daughter slept on the bunk. And then there was also the option to have the Murphy bed come down if
Hmm.
we wanted to. So the difference is if you don't have the family version of that, you just don't have the Murphy bed. But then we also had a lot extra space, which in hindsight, we probably didn't need all that space, but
Mm-hmm.
we didn't know. And we had the veranda, we were on a bump out. So when you look at the ship, in the midship, it kind of bumps out. So we had a little bit of a bigger veranda, which was really nice. One thing I was like a little worried about was safety with the veranda, but um, those doors, one, are very heavy. You have to take the handle and like turn it all the way like this to even open.
Hmm.
And then there's also like a parent safety latch at the top. So I felt fine after seeing all of that. And the railings are really tall and solid. So we used the veranda a lot more than I thought we were, just in the mornings when my son was napping. So that was definitely good for us to have.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
each floor has different theme on the wish for the rooms, which I think is carrying over to the treasure too, because I saw
Hmm.
someone posted what the themes are going to be on the treasure.
Hmm.
And we were in a Tiana themed room, so that was really nice. And having the split bathrooms is really such a perk too, to have
Yeah.
two sinks, and then the toilet with the sink and the shower tub, also nice because the kids still take baths,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with the sink. So we had plenty of space in there.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's so fun. So we have an inside stateroom right now,
Uh-huh.
but my goal is hopefully someone pixie dust and moves up. And like my first plan boarding the ship is to go to guest services and just see
Yes.
if there's something available that we can move into. Because after I booked it, I was like, oh, we should do veranda because we still have nap time and things
Yeah.
like that. And I thought about like if we have a slower morning, like just being able to have breakfast on the veranda, or Josh and I being able to kind of like separate and have the kids sleeping and we go out.
Yeah.
I do think there's a lot of perks to having that little
Yeah.
extra space. So I can't get it now because they're gone, but I'm like, oh, fingers crossed, because I've heard that
Yeah.
that can happen. Like I've heard,
Yeah.
obviously
There's
not to
sometimes like,
expect it, but
right, upgrades on the ship depending on,
mm-hmm,
yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. No
Yeah.
matter what, you'll have a great time because
Yeah.
the amount of time you're in the room is pretty minimal compared to everything else. So,
And that's what
and
I
there's
always
so
think
much,
about.
yeah, there's so much other outdoor space on the
Hmm.
ships too. So that will be nice. And you will have the full like running deck too, which is nice. So you can like do walks and stuff out there. On the Wish,
Hmm.
that's one thing
Hmm.
they don't have. It kind of goes like this up the stairs. So,
Mm,
um, but yeah, no, our room, we were really happy with the room. And our room
yeah.
attendant was wonderful. All the cast members were wonderful. There was not one person that we were even had any type of negative experience with. Everyone was great. So
Yeah. So cool.
mm,
Anything else that we didn't touch on?
I don't think so. I think that was pretty much it. Just I'm ready to go
Yeah.
back.
I know. I bet so. Oh my goodness. That's yeah. So I guess with this placeholder, you don't actually like pick a date. You just have
Yes.
a, and then how do you, I guess, how do you use it? So now you've got this. So do you call Disney and say, hey, I've got a placeholder. I want to go on this sailing or whatever. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So if you want to book, you do have to call in to book with
Hmm.
a placeholder.
Hmm.
But I mean, I have like a reservation number
Oh,
essentially. So
wow.
they
Yeah.
just it's like a deposit and it says my name on the one room and then on the other room it says like TBD with our last name. And then it says that the date you have to sail by, which is 2 years out from when you booked it.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, you just call and you say, I want to use this placeholder and then you give the number if you're working with a travel agent. Um, so I thought that you could name them when you booked the
Mm-hmm.
placeholder. I did not see anywhere on the app to do that. So
Okay.
that might be something that you have to talk to guest services about. If what happened for me was it, because I'm going to use myself as the travel agent.
Right.
I
Right.
basically just filled out the transfer form when we got back.
Okay.
So like if it's as if you had booked a Walt Disney World reservation or a cruise line reservation and you want to transfer it to a travel agent, you just fill out that same form, email it to Disney, and then they'll add your agent's name to the placeholder. You do have to do that within 30 days of when you booked it though.
Okay.
And then your travel agent will call in and book for you or get
Hmm.
pricing or whatever
Hmm.
it is you're looking for. So
Yeah, I think that's important to kind of go over because I don't think a lot of people understand that or know that. And I remember like this could be anywhere. Like if you're going to a sandals resort or something like that, and they have an offer for you to book your next trip, you can book it with them, but you do have to do that transfer so your travel agent can then take it over and kind of they get the
yes,
benefit, but then you also get the benefit of having the travel agent work out all those details. So
right.
definitely do that.
Yeah, and the 30-day window is the key for Disney
Hmm.
at least.
Hmm. Excellent.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much. You've got me even more excited. I feel like I'm more prepared too. Like, so yes, I think the rest is going to be like charging things and,
Yes.
getting all the batteries up, up and charged and then,
Uh-huh. And
yeah,
then going and enjoying.
and then going and enjoying. Yeah. Super excited. I
Fun.
thank you so much for this talk. I think people are going to love it.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I love talking about it. So
I know, I know. And a good way to kind of recap, your trip is just being able to like kind of go back through it and think about it.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
All right. We'll see you later.
Thanks. Happy sailing.
Yes. You can find her information in the show notes or the description box if you're watching on YouTube. Link to her Facebook account. She has a Google form there for an intake form if you are interested at all in booking a Disney vacation. Anyone who books between now and October of 2023, when you check in at your resort, you will have a $25 gift card waiting for you there from her if you mention the Jack of All Things Disney podcast when you sign up with her. So definitely take advantage of that. Oh my goodness. What a fun thing. And if you guys haven't worked with a travel agent before, I highly recommend it. You don't pay any extra to work with a travel agent. There are a lot of travel agents. So definitely if you're feeling like working with one, try them out, email them, talk to them, let them know like your communication style. Let them know that you're probably a Disney fanatic and that you also want to take part in the planning. The last time I worked with a travel agent, I pretty much emailed her and said, this is what I'm about. I am meticulous in planning my Disney trips. I am very hands-on. I am going to ask you 1,000 questions, and they are going to be the most logistical and detailed question I can think to ask, because that's the type of person I am when I'm planning my family Disney trips. I don't want to miss a thing. So I said, if you can't keep up, let me know. And I feel like kind of setting the stage early and letting them know who you are and what you're about definitely limits any type of disappointment in the future. So you want someone that's going to work with you well, that can handle your personality. And maybe I'm just speaking from experience, but I have found that when I do that, I love the experience because the expectation has been set and my needs have been voiced before we even get into working together. And I give them the option. If you want to work with me, that'd be great. Thank you so much for joining today. I hope you enjoyed that trip report from Caroline on her Disney cruise on the Wish. If you are interested in learning more about Disney cruises, the next few episodes that I'm going to be doing on this podcast is going to be kind of detailing out my most recent cruise. I got back on Friday from my first Disney cruise on the Disney Magic. And so I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I'm going to break it up a little bit more, maybe day by day, talk about different things that we did. We did some pin trading. We did different things at Castaway that I think would be fun to talk about. So if you guys are interested, definitely hit the subscribe button, follow along with the show, and be alerted when the next episode drops. It's usually every other week that I'm putting out an episode. So I'll see you in 2 weeks.